Oh. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Concordia Consularis, the spiritual and business agency of peace. I'm joined today by Harrison. Hello, Harrison. How are you?
I'm okay, Angela. How are you people? I'm glad to be here today. Looking at some of issues that we are going to look today, and one of the issues is the Maui issue part 2. And let's see what the courts are gonna say, and also you're gonna look at the Russell Brand kind of situation that's happening at the moment and see how that goes.
Great. So
Yep.
I haven't checked on the updates since, so this will be an interesting voyage. I will remember my microphone just in case. Pop those in, and we will go into it. I forget what's going on, but I have noticed that there seems to be more of a core belief that that it is an ancestral attack, and that seems to be coming to the fore. So that's really positive. Can you hear me okay, Harrison?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Great. So without further ado, we're just going to open the spiritual courts of equity. In sacred neutral, with all ancestors incarnated into these realms. Mother Earth, the soul of, the star being, elders of each culture. And there is a sense of happiness out there, not happiness as in happiness, like over, exuberant happiness, but it's more like that there's a feeling of progression in this spiritual court today for this Maui part 2. So we would just like to invite forward all those that have been affected by this tragedy. And what is your immediate sense, Harrison?
I'm just connecting with myself for just a moment. I'm getting this feeling of calmness in the court. It looks like much of what was being intended by the leads out there, it's something that has the words that I would like to say is the cover has been blown off. People are being educated, and it's like the way it would have been easier for people to let this situation to be brushed under the rug and to sell off their property and move away from this area because it's not a pretty scene to be around that place. You know, much death has occurred, much destruction has occurred. And right now, the feelings that I'm getting is that people are very aware at some level of what is happening. And through their personal choice, they're going to make the choices that are good for them. But as of now, there's calmness, there's this serenity, and there's this kind of coherent, kind of cognitive way of people. They can be able to make decisions. They can go into their heart space and make decisions. Some of it may be a bit, more emotional because from the physical reality, they were expecting maybe much support from the government, which doesn't look like it's coming. And they know if it's not up to them to resolve the situation, there's no help coming along the way to assist them. So they are on their own on this. But that is physically, but on spiritual kind of perspective, there's this ancestral kind of love that is flowing in here, caring, um, kind of gratitude. And those who will be able to go into that place and be able to tap that, they are gonna come back better, stronger, and make that area even much more better than it was before.
Mm, mm. Yeah, there is a very strong support here. So let's just check on the status of the children and those affected in more detail. Let's have a look at their emotional impacts and see if there's anything we can do to support them in this moment, in this spiritual court. At the same time, perpetrators are going to start coming in.
So what I'm getting is that there's a very traumatic event to the young ones in this area. It's something we would say they were seeing in movies, and then it actually happened in real life.
Mm,
And from there, it took them into this, because even the entire family would go into this kind of a fearful kind of state. And being that you are young one here, you kind of absorb everything around the people whom you're hanging around.
mhm,
So there's this much fear, anger, this kind of traumatic kind of event.
mhm,
And the court has been dealing with it slowly, because it's not something that, you want to rush, because you're going to leave a lot of issues unresolved, because you'll find things attaching into this kind of traumatic kind of event. It will read from one thing to another one,
mhm,
because it might even trigger some past experiences these children have gone through.
mhm,
So it's something that is being looked at carefully, uh, and they're being processed in a way that they can be able to understand from a spiritual or soul kind of perspective, so that they can have this kind of a deeper level of healing, so that they
mhm,
can be able to make this next step in their journey. So it's something that is still ongoing.
mhm. I'm being shown, they're showing to me that the next step for the court is to look at the land issue in this moment while they are working with the souls of all those affected. And they're going to be working on the levels of shock and devastation and the spiritual disconnection element. It is ongoing, but we're just taking that to another level here in the court today. We're also going to invite in those perpetrators forward into the front section of the court for all those, including those who wish to magically buy up ancestral land. Quite an interesting sensation there.
Yeah.
They're really pushing to purchase, aren't they?
Yeah, because I'm getting they are creating like some kind of an elite kind of an island.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm being showed is that um the US as a whole, it has so many issues that are catching up to it. They have been kicking the can down the road for a very long time, and there's karmic retribution for that, and karma is catching up with them. And one of the way the elites are doing is moving in areas where they can be able to, protect themselves. And, when you are in some kind of an island, and you can be able to use the waters some kind of a natural state of defense from masses, it's one way that you can protect yourself from what is coming. So
It's an
it's
oldie, but a goodie.
yeah, so there's this kind of selfish interest, and also on the other hand, this is a very good area. It has very good climate. Um,
A
I'm
natural
also seeing,
ecosystem.
yeah, some kind of beaches around there. So
Mhm.
um, it's a good area for them to go and hang around and play their golfs and
Mm. Grow their
uh,
vegetables and
yeah, and
hide out other underhand activities that they're doing or intend
yeah,
to do.
yeah, and hatch, their plans, since they are around the same area. So, but for this plan to be able to be achieved, people have to give up their land. And
Mm. So let's focus on that. So let's look at the court. We're going to ask every being that belongs to the island if they want to sell their land or have their land taken away. Just asking that question. And what's the general consensus?
I think it's kind of a 50-50 kind of a situation.
Mhm.
There are those people who, if you give them the right price, they won't think twice. They'll just, sell the area and move to another area. But there are those people who this land means much more than,
Mhm.
just physical land to them.
Mhm.
And they want to hold on this piece of land because it gives them a very strong kind of connection. There are also some kind of cultural practices they do around this area, and they
Mhm.
want to get that kind of connection, in this area. And whatever is being perpetuated by the government and the power that be is, using what they call the legal way of, you know,
Mm.
taking the land out of them, even if they can declare the land is not good for people habiting it, and using some ridiculous kind of an explanation, and
Mhm.
this is the amount of money that you need to reverse the economic effect that has happened.
Mhm.
They will come with some of this ridiculous kind of explanation to just make it very difficult for the locals
Mhm.
to rebuild. So they see selling as the next option because you're gonna be given a good deal
Mhm.
because since this situation is out there and it's a huge issue, so you'll find when somebody is being given a deal to sell their land, it will even cater for the kind of house um he or she had,
Mhm.
or even they can be given a deal of, you're gonna buy our land and we are gonna give you another house somewhere plus cash and
Mhm. Make it
some
good.
kind,
Fringe
yeah,
benefits. Mhm.
make it look good. And for some families, telling them that you're gonna give them the same house they were owning plus some cash, it looks
Mhm.
like a better deal to them and they'll just take it. So the situation is kind of 50-50 here.
Okay, so let's just see what we could do there. So I'm just demonstrating and showing all that are going to, or even considering selling out, the greater picture. And if they do sell out, then they don't really belong there. They're just giving the land away to all and sundry. And
So I'm
what's,
also feeling
mm-hmm,
I'm also feeling some people have this heaviness in their heart.
yes.
Even if they want to sell, it's coming at they are selling it with a very, very heavy heart. So yeah.
So those that have heavy hearts, we can assist them. And this is a process, I'm just explaining to those that might be listening. This is a process of a spiritual court of equity. Each one provides healing for the soul involved in these matters, which supports the resolution process, so that all may be not bogged down by the human emotions that are very dense regarding being displaced, and it's been having your race annihilated. And this has been done in the story of the victor throughout eons of time. So what we're trying to do here is achieve balance and harmony for all ancestral races connected to the island of Maui. Right, do we have movement?
Yeah. I don't know, it looks like a very strange kind of a situation here, because the powers that be know, even if they buy the land can automatically reject them and, turn against them, and it's not gonna be a pretty situation.
Is not.
So yeah, so even if they want to purchase this, they want also some locals to remain around to make sure that, nothing extreme happens, or even some families are gonna marry into this kind of elite kind of structure to just maintain that kind of a situation. So these are the cards they are kind of playing.
Okay.
But all in all, the main aim of this land is the energy. I'm still coming into the energy that it's gonna give them. This is why it is of high interest to them. And that's why they use the fire to kick out the people from that place.
So the other interesting factor about this is what happens if you have negative connections and links spiritually, physically, which are both the same. And you visit an ancestral land that you have great, let's say, issue with for some seen or unseen reason. Maybe it's from your past, maybe it's from your lineage. If you go to a land and you start trying to purchase the land and change that land, you're going to receive personal difficulties in form of your own experience, because these are things that are in operation behind the scenes that no one sees. And it could just be put down to the negative experience. Oh, I had a terrible time in such and such a place, but you didn't go into the land and respect the ancestors. This is key. And this is applicable to any race and culture and country on earth today. You disrespect the ancestor spirits, souls of the land, you will not progress. So I'm just chucking that sideball, curveball, information and knowledge at those that intend to purchase and try and harvest that space for themselves when it doesn't ancestrally belong to them as a homeland. And it's up to them. I mean, Earth is peaceful, but, and this is why certain ideologies have cut off ancestor connection and recognition. We're seeing this in China a lot, and in communist countries with ideologies that group around Marxism and all the other socialism concepts that literally just don't work. Cuts the individual off from their spiritual experience and homogenizes them into real-time working slaves with no spiritual guidance. It is not permitted.
Yeah, and also there's this big push of, pushing everything and everyone to be on digital kind of platform and
Mm,
everything to be on that kind of a digital footprint. And to make it extremely difficult for those people who choose to opt out of that system for you to even exist.
exactly. But also the elders, they don't really use that much tech.
No, they don't. And if you start having like an island like Maui, you know, everything to be digital. If you want to visit that, you're gonna apply your credentials digitally to be given permission or whatever kind of thing.
If
And they
Oprah
make
says so.
yeah, the lady has over 1,000 acres in that area and didn't even house a single person who was affected by this scenario or even give shelter. Um, or even give food to anyone.
Right, right.
Yeah, and the only thing that she could come up with is a huge fundraiser, and you don't even know whether the money is gonna go to those people. They come with this fancy name and fundraisers, telling you it's for those people. Like, I was seeing, like, in Africa, we have so many NGOs,
Mm,
and you find that in those areas that they operate, they are the poorest, they have the worst sanitation, and they have been in those areas for over 30 years and nothing seems to change. And you can't even go down there and point even a single infrastructure they have been doing, but they're still around and they are demanding more money and more money. So it's the same kind of vibe I'm getting when she is going out there and asking some of these things because you don't even know if she's gonna, you know, send anything. It looks like the kind of BLM kind of the way they collected so
mm,
much money, but very few find its way to the people.
exactly, or
Yeah.
addressing any real cause.
Yeah.
So this money imprint and those that intend or have intended to purchase or by negative means, by coercion, by pressure, how are they right now in this court?
Um, I'm getting this kind of an energy, it's a person, but there's something like milking their life force out of them. So
Mm,
this person is kind of pale and they're in this kind of legal framework that is cannibalistic and siphoning off the energy. So to them, they have decided to switch off the emotions. They don't care
mm,
what these people are. They are seeing it as a crisis. They want to benefit from this crisis, and they are gonna maximize this crisis to their best of advantage. So um if you're gonna go there, cook some deal out
mm-hmm,
there. Like for example, you do know that before the fire, a house in this area was retailing for around $1.2 million. And in them, maybe you can go out there, look for a $400,000 home, give to a family, give another 400,000 or 500,000. You still have some few cash left for you to spare, and you can be able now to snatch as many properties as you can, and you can develop them and make a killing from that. So they're kind of trying to put it as a win-win situation. There are those who have that heart to put it as a win-win situation, but others are like, I want to say like the insurance company where you have insured your house for fire and it catches fire and they tell you, that was a calamity or that was a natural disaster. We are not gonna cover that.
mm,
Yeah.
right. So I'm just switching on their emotions.
I'm just seeing they have these expensive kind of drinks on their hands,
Mm-hmm,
the moment, because even if they switch the emotions, they're still humans. at some point those emotions are gonna come back, and they are they are finding ways to suppress those emotions either through drugs or
Mm-hmm.
having these
That's all
you know
right. We've always
these
got a way
drinks.
through. So that's just increasing as we speak. And I'm just activating the consciousness of those beings, the inner conscience. There is a meltdown that is in operation currently. Watch the guy with the pale face and the rings.
I don't know, it's like they are holding their hand, they are screaming on top of their lungs.
Yeah,
Uh,
the bugger, isn't it? I'm not
yeah,
saying that in a cruel way. I'm just saying there's nothing quite as sweet as justness, remedy, and resolve when the being is aware of their actions.
yeah.
So, what do they intend to do about it now their inner conscience is activated?
You see, within themselves, it's like a kind of a framework of thoughts or a program that is running them,
Mm-hmm.
and they are within these systems that are controlling them,
Yeah.
and the system has given the order, go get those
Mm-hmm.
pieces of land.
Mm-hmm.
So and given that they have no way of, because they support the system, so it's not their intention to stop working with the system. But now the only block they are facing is that whenever they come to the locals, they are finding a hard nut to crack, because these people are so attached, with this land. This is where their grandparents were born, grandparents of grandparents were here. They have been brought up in this area. This is where they got married. This is where their children are. This is where their grandchildren are. And now you're telling them, because of a single event, just like a fire, and you're telling them now they can't stay here, they need to move.
Mm-hmm.
No, some of them are fighting back and saying no. And you'll find the people who are willing to sell, they are not selling because okay, one thing is that they have had a huge loss, but previously they were also having intentions of selling this area. They wanted to move away from this area. So
Okay. So check this out, what's happening. That's just as you've been speaking, we have the islands and their big kahunas, right? And these are the ancestral big guys. So they have walked in. Tell me what they're saying.
um
Mm.
I'm tempted to say maybe you are having a situation, you had taken your situation to maybe to your local chief area or the elder of the community to resolve a situation. And then because somebody is trying to play a hard ball, the Supreme Court decided to step in, and whenever they come here, they are not favoring any side. They're coming with facts, and it's like getting a pink slip. You're planning to purchase this area. Good, but how are you gonna purchase if we remove the flow of money that you have?
Not
You know, they
only that, those that are intending to purchase are actually feeling frozen in the fear of making those transactions because the kahunas are showing them what is coming in peace.
Yeah.
They know and are aware of the movements of energy. You know, these are the big guns in the culture that teach and preserve the knowledge and ancient way of existing there. And I can just see this great universal movement with the star beings. It's like they have put all the people under a form of spiritual protection. And I just want to check in on the status of the guy with the rings and the pale face. Looks a bit like Biden, actually, but there you go. I'm not sure if he could actually wear rings, but anyway. So I see there is this direct opposition. So let's look for a sweet resolution to assist the kahunas.
You see, one thing I'm thinking they should do is that, you know, the locals are experiencing a really hard time.
Mm.
And if they can have a way of softening that or, you know, opening their streams of income,
Yeah.
you know, they have something to bargain with, because if you're gonna bargain with a hungry person, the only thing that they are thinking in their head is just eating.
Mm.
But if a person is full, they have eaten well, they are sleeping well, everything is catered for,
Mm.
and you try to come to the negotiating table with this person, you know, he's not gonna budge until you give him the best deal that they want. And giving the locals that kind of thing,
Yeah.
it's gonna be kind of a hell kind of a situation for the people who are trying to purchase. And this is one of the reasons why the government sends so little money to them, to make sure that they are, you know, you have tasted, but you're still dependent on the system.
Yeah, and we will starve you out.
Yeah.
So in terms of the protection and the safety of the people, just re-establishing that that's all good. And I just get the distinct impression here that that land is being guarded against the land developer potential. The buying conglomerate are kind of stepping back.
And also there's this thing that is being presented to me. I don't know the name of this commission in that country or in the United States, but it's a commission that evaluates the safety of the environment. And one thing they do is that if they know that people are not gonna budge, they can come and declare the area it's not fit for human
Yeah.
to live there. So, and for you to convert it, you need this significant type of money to be able to remove the effects that were caused by this fire. So it's kind of pushing the locals out and bringing guys with huge, you know, amount of cash, and you're supposed to sign some documents to relinquish your rights to the land. So what I'm seeing is that people are gonna be given, they are being given this kind of resilience within themselves, so that if this event comes to pass, because it's still a possibility, you know, they'll just show those guys out of the door and throw them out, you know.
Yeah.
without doing any kind of negotiations, and they will scream on top of their lungs. You know, this is what is happening at the moment.
So I'm just going to bring this to a new level, because what I'm seeing here is that the people are protected, which is good, first and foremost. They will have to process this scene in this rebuild, but also those that, I'm just going to pull a plug from behind the scenes, the groupings that want to buy the land. So we're just removing their connections. Mother Earth, the soul of her, is stepping forward. She's just explaining she's not for sale. That any natural disaster can strike at any time is the message that they're being given. And it is the way. You know, they're not exempt as much as they would like to feel that they are.
Yeah.
And that she's present in the resolution. So there, you know, there is a warning in place, a two-angled warning from the kahunas and the elders, and the sentience of Earth. Now I can see a certain level of retreat, because they will be exposed, the people that include themselves in nefarious dealings, all of that. So I'm just scanning the court and seeing what we can do for today. And we're just removing the impacts from Earth herself there, the scorching effect. It's almost like being branded.
Yeah. My love has a sense of humor. She says she has experienced worse than this. It's kind of nothing to her.
Yeah,
You know, it's
that's true, me old girl. But we know what those impacts do over time.
yeah,
Wayward
you know,
daughter.
she was showing me this kind of, you know, I don't know when the timing was, but there were these huge lasers that they would scorch earth, create these volcanoes and trenches, and yeah.
Harkening back to the old days. Okay, so the state of the court right now is
I don't know, things looks to be very calm now. They are very relaxed. It's not like these people tried to push or try to avoid whatever they were trying to do. It's like they were coming with, you know, this kind of an argument. It's not like you're snatching the land, you know, you're gonna offer some kind of compensation for this and all this kind of blah blahs kind of things. But the resolution that is here, it's the free will of the people. It's them who will choose what they want with their land. If they want to develop, they will develop, because what I'm seeing in this court, majority are those who want to develop, but they're gonna be a small portion of the people, the locals who are there, who believe it's time for them to move on to another place. So, and with love, they will be allowed to go and do whatever they will do, and they'll be successful in those regions they will choose to go and live in. But for those people who remain in this area, they are protected. They are not going to be coerced and threatened and be told they are going to lose their property if they don't sell.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so do we have closure for today?
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. I'm
Great.
seeing, everybody is happy with, especially the locals, they are very happy with what the court has done. They're quite at peace. And from a soul kind of perspective, and even if some of them may struggle financially in the meantime, they'll
Mm,
be taken care of. And these elders, they are gonna make sure that everybody who chooses to remain, they're gonna be safe, they're gonna be taken care of, and they're gonna come back better and stronger and build a magnificent community once
mm.
again.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and also they have been given something to think of, the insurance companies. So the next time they decide to sign those contracts, they make sure that events like these are covered, because you can be paying insurance for the rest of your life, and when you need them the most, they find a clause in some of the contract you signed way back then, and they said, nah, we are not covering this.
Heard that one before. Every AI-driven insurance company does that.
Yep.
Oh dear, can you believe it? Okay, so that's really wonderful, everybody. So we will be keeping an eye on Maui and its developments. Things will be progressing in Spiritual Court of Equity behind the scenes. And it's our great pleasure to share with you this information and data as we provide spiritual resolution on Earth today. We wish you all the very best, and that may you always find the voice of your soul that speaks loudly beyond any form of construct or matrix, set up or devastation. May you always have a voice. Okay, thanks everyone. And we'll see you next time. We will be recording other spiritual reports of equity, and we're going to check in back on Maui in a couple of weeks. Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah. Thank you too. And leave a like, leave a comment, and
Oh,
yeah.
do. It'd be nice to hear from
Yeah, it would be nice to hear from you guys.
you. All right.